Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. With the Bills Ravens game right around the corner in a couple days, I am, of course, here to preview it. You know how that goes. Give you my keys to the game, give you my player predictions. We're gonna um we're gonna predict healthy scratches slash inactive for the Bills, all that fun stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. But as I always like to provide you with how you can watch it and stream it, if you will, for the broadcast information, it is Bills at Ravens in Baltimore. It is this Sunday, September 29th. So Sunday, September 29th at 8:20 p.m. on NBC. That means, unfortunately, the broadcast crew is Mike Tirico, which he's okay most of the time. And then Chris Collinsworth, who I can absolutely not stand, especially when the Bills are playing. For some reason, he just hates Josh Allen and the Bills, even though they're 3-0. Probably won't give them any credit, but it is what it is. So once again, that is Sunday, September 29th, 8:20 p.m. at NBC for your viewing pleasure on Sunday Night Football. Without further ado, let's just get into my keys to the game. As always, I would love to interact with you down in the comments below on YouTube. So let me know, what are your keys to the game, or what points do you agree with or not, respectfully not agree with that I had. We can get into it down there. But keys to the game. First, in no particular order of importance, this is a more mental thing for the Bills than anything, but I just wrote down new week, new game. Now, Sean McDermott, he's a very regimented coach. He's a very business-like coach. I don't want to say he doesn't let the guys have fun, but he doesn't let them relax really ever, which is good and bad. In this case, it could be good because coming off the Jaguars, it was great. 47-10 on Monday Night Football. I dubbed the Monday Night Massacre for a reason. If you saw the recap episode, if not, go check that out. If you did, that's why I dubbed it. So the 147-10, but that's great. Get that out of your mind. It's 6 days later. Now we're moving on to a new week, new game, as I wrote down. I think Sean McDermott will have this guy's offense, defense, special teams, everyone of the mentally prepared, mentally moved on from the Jaguars Monday Night Massacre, as I dubbed it. Basically, this is just all a mental thing, but move on from the 37-point win. That was awesome in the moment, but we got to get to 4-0. We got to be 1-0, as Joe Brady tweets on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, every single week, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 after every single game. If we want to get to 1-0 this week and 4-0 overall, you got to kind of wash out the noise of the 47-10 blowout. I don't know how to word it, but basically it's a new week, it's a new game, start fresh, and that win was awesome. But we got to move on to the Ravens here, especially since it's in Baltimore at the Ravens. And John Harbaugh will have those guys flying around. John Harbaugh will have those boys moving around because they're 1-2. They should be 0-3, but they're 1-2. They're stuck by the Cowboys. So, yeah. Just really a mental thing. New week, new game. New city, all that. And then continue to play your game. Don't panic if you trail early or any point in the game, because they have not trailed since really their comeback win over the Cardinals. Week 2 against the Dolphins, blowout from the very start. Week 3 against the Jaguars, absolute massacre from the start. Week 4 against the Ravens, I could see a scenario and paint a picture where the Ravens get the ball first, or the Bills in the coin toss, they defer, or the Ravens in the coin toss, they receive. Either way, I could see the Ravens wanting and getting the ball first. They march right down, take advantage of no Taron Johnson and Terrell Bernard, who we know aren't playing this game, march right down and score right away. Boom, 7-0. If you're Josh Allen, don't get flustered. If you're the running backs, ball security needs to be top notch. Because I could see the Ravens getting up 7-0, and I don't think they're going to get flustered. I don't think Josh Allen will get nutty and stupid. Judging from what we've seen this season, a smart, cool, calm, and collected Josh. But I'm just saying, don't be surprised if it's 7-0 early and you have to face adversity that you haven't faced really at all in 3 weeks. This is easily your toughest test of the season, although Cardinals look a little more sneaky. They're 1-2. I think they should be 2-1. They're better than their record shows, like the Kyler and MSJ, the Mark Harrison Jr. connection is elite. But that's besides the point. Play your game. Continue to play how you know how to play. Continue to get all the receivers involved. Don't force anything just because you trail 7-0 early, 14-10, 10-7 early in the second quarter. If you trail early, which is very likely, honestly, not very likely, but very possible and realistic, I should say, rather, or if you trail at any point in the game and face something that you haven't faced, don't worry about it. Continue to play your game. Continue to play hemmed in. Continue to lock in. Whatever you got to do to get over those mental hurdles of trailing, do it. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Basically, what I'm trying to say is continue to play your game. If you trail early, which, again, is very possible, or at any point in the game, again, very possible, don't go stat chasing. Don't go big play chasing. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but it's just something to watch out for. Next, this is kind of like a scheme-specific thing, but continue to utilize pre-snap motion. Continue to utilize the play-action game with Josh Allen. My one big critique, if you want to even call it that, or complaint, whatever you want to call it, rather, with Joe Brady, even though I thought he was a wizard and genius with calling plays in the first 2 weeks and then week 3, more specifically, especially, I should say, he didn't really utilize play action in the first 2 weeks against the Cardinals and Dolphins, respectively. In the week 3, he notched it up quite a bit, and Josh Allen was absolutely a killer. And we know over Josh Allen's entire career, year 7 now, 18, yeah, year 7 now, that's crazy to say, by the way, he carves up defenses on play action. And I think also utilizing pre-snap motions, whether it's lining up a receiver like Curtis Samuel in the backfield and splitting him out wide at the last second, or lining up James Cook in the slot and then motioning him back to the backfield at the last second. Or maybe you throw in a 2-back look, which is rare for them to do, but maybe you throw in a 2-back look with Ray Davis and James Cook, or James Cook and Ty Johnson in the field at the same time. Or you can go 2 tight ends with Dawson Knox or Dalton Kincaid in the field at the same time. Or you can go 4 wide receiver sets, heavy wide receiver sets with Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, and Matt Collins / MVS on the field all at the same time. You can create mismatches. You can do multiple different sets. So I love to see the window adjusting, if you will, which is pre-snap motion stuff to confuse defenses and get them on their heels, if you will, and then utilize the play action. I want to see it ramped up even more. Like, I want to see play action rates from Joe Brady 30 to 35%. I believe they're only like 15 to 20% in the first 3 weeks combined, around there. Last time I saw and checked. So I want to see it 30 to 35% on a weekly basis. I think throwing in that little wrinkle is killer for Josh Allen in a very good way. Next, key for this Bills defense. This is very, very big. Force Lamar and the Ravens into a drop-back passing offense. Make them go away from their game plan. Make them throw out their game plan and beat you in a different way that they're not used to beating teams, or in their losses that they're not used to playing. What I mean by forcing Lamar and the Ravens to a drop-back passing offense is Lamar is not a drop-back passer. The book on him is him and the Ravens is, for one, the Ravens want to pound Derrick Henry. They want to get him 20 to 25 touches a game and pound him. He had over 150 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on the Cowboys last week. That's how they won. It wasn't really because of Lamar. And especially Lamar, I say he's not a drop-back passer because Todd Monken wants Lamar to not drop back very much. He wants to get his ball out of the hands. He wants to get the ball out of his hands, He wants to get the ball out of his hands quickly and efficiently. He's a quick triggered passer. He wants to get it to Zay Flowers and let Zay Flowers work in space after the catch. He's a quick trigger quarterback. If you force them to throw out their game plan and beat you in a different way and beat you as a drop-back passer, like, he's not a Josh Allen. He's not going to sit behind the pocket and have 25 to 30, 30 to 35 passing attempts a game like Josh Allen's capable of and beat you through the air. Todd Monken wants Lamar to drop back a few times a game, get it out of his hands efficiently and quickly, and as Zay Flowers make people miss in space. Speaking of that, tackling. Make sure you're on your P's and Q's, if you will, and tackle. Now, historically, this Bills team has been very poor in tackling. They've been like bottom 5 in tackling, which means they've been top 5 in missed tackle rate for the last handful of years under McDermott. This year, it has been much of a problem. There's only been like a couple players, really only one, that has had like a high missed tackle rate. Cam Lewis, he's been playing awesome in the slot with Jamarcus Ingram splitting the reps there. But Cam Lewis has had a few more missed tackles than I would like, so got to hem that in. But for the most part, the Bills whether it's defensive line, linebacker, corner, safeties, the secondary as a whole, they've been very, very dialed in terms of tackling, which is not something we see often from the second defense under McDermott and Bobby Babbage, specifically this year, respectively. But make sure you lock in and tackle Zay Flowers. What did I just say? Lamar wants to get the ball out of his hands quickly, efficiently, and have a quick trigger and get to Zay Flowers and make him work in space. Zay Flowers is an elite route runner. He can take the top of a defense and go downfield. I don't know why the Ravens don't utilize him in that capacity. They could, and he would be very like borderline elite receiver if they did that, but they don't. They want to get the ball out of his hands quickly and be efficient and get to Zay Flowers, and they want to have Zay Flowers make people miss in space. So just continue to be locked in and don't whiff on tackles because Zay Flowers will burn you if you do that. So hopefully you get the point there. And then take advantage of this Ravens weak offensive line. Half of this offensive line, give or take, aren't starting caliber players. The reason they are in the Ravens is because they just don't have better players in them. From left to right, left tackle Ronnie Stanley. He's not an All-Pro caliber player anymore, but when he's on, he's a Pro Bowl caliber player. He's been healthy the last couple of years. Before that, he went through injury hell, basically, but last couple of years he's been healthy. So left tackle Ronnie Stanley, left guard Andrew Voorhees, which is I'm like 95% sure he's not even going to play. He's not really a roster starting caliber player to begin with. He just happens to be on the Ravens. So they're going to have to go to the backup. I'll explain that in a minute. Probably won't play. Center Tyler Linderbaum. He's arguably the best center in the NFL, right up there with Creed Humphrey with the Chiefs. Now that Jason Kelce retired. Creed Humphrey of the Chiefs. Frank Ragnow of the Lions. So top 3 center, maybe even best center in the league, arguably. And then right guard Daniel Falele. Again, not a starting caliber player. And then right tackle Patrick McCarry, who can play all 5 spots. I think his best spot is guard, so I think he's playing on position. I think he is a low-end, adequate enough level starter. So Linderbaum, franchise center. Ronnie Stanley, franchise left tackle, although he only has like 1 or 2 years at best moving forward left. And then left guard Andrew Voorhees, not a starting caliber player. 95% sure he won't play anyway. And then right guard Daniel Falele, not a starting caliber player. Right tackle, Patrick McCarry, I don't know. Low end, adequate enough level starter, but in most cases, not a starting caliber player. So you only have like 2, maybe 3 with McCarry, arguably, starting caliber players in this offensive line. What are they going to do with left guard with Andrew Voorhees out? They can really have 3 options. The best option is probably to move Patrick McCarry from right tackle to starting left guard, and then have Roger Rosengarten come in as a rookie, decent enough starter at right tackle, or you can have Josh Jones start at left guard from the bench, or you can have Ben Cleveland start at left guard from the bench. It's kind of a mess. They're going to have to go through a lot of reshuffling here for the Ravens offensive line. But take advantage of this weak offensive line. Our front 5, if you want to extend it to AJ Epinesa, of Von Miller, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, and again, 5th, AJ Epinesa is a part-time starter splitting with Von Miller pretty much. Take advantage of this offensive line. Von Miller, there's mismatches here. Von Miller is the left defensive end going against left tackle Ronnie Stanley. That's going to be a key matchup because, again, very good tackle. On the right side, whether it's Patrick McCarry, whether they keep Patrick McCarry at right tackle or moving the left guard and it's rookie Roger Rosengarten at right tackle, like Greg Rousseau should be able to eat those guys for lunch. And then a key factor in matchup in this weak offensive line is going to be Ed Oliver lined up over the center a majority of the time. Ed Oliver versus Tyler Linderbaum. A franchise defensive tackle versus a franchise center. That will be a very, very key matchup in this game. Ed Oliver's going to have to work against Tyler Linderbaum to collapse the pocket, get Lamar flustered, and that leads me into my player of the game predictions. I'm going to switch it up and review my defense player of the game first here because I'm talking about it anyway. My defensive player of the game prediction for this game for the Buffalo Bills is Ed Oliver. Like I said, I think a key matchup is Ed Oliver versus Tyler Linderbaum. Or whether it's they want to move him across the line, it's Ed Oliver versus. So those middle 3. The middle 3 here is like very, very poor, like Tyler Linderbaum, okay, maybe Linderbaum gets the best of him, but you can line up Ed Oliver over the left guard, whether it's Patrick McCarry, Josh Jones, Ben Cleveland. Those are very poor players, like bench players at best, bottom of the depth chart roster caliber players at best. Ed Oliver should be able to take like a lot of advantage of those, like eat them for lunch, if you will. So Ed Oliver, and the reason I predict him as my defensive player of the game is because Ed Oliver has been good. Like he's had one sack. Like week 1 against the Cardinals, didn't record a single tackle, nothing. Week 3 against the Jaguars, they were up by so much he really didn't have to do much. Week 2 against the Dolphins is where he got his first sack of the season and only sack of the season to this point. I think he's in store for like 2 sacks and a number of tackles, and maybe 2 or 3 tackles for loss as well. Excuse me, I should say rather. I think Ed Oliver's going to have a big game because Ed Oliver hasn't had that vintage, like going back to last year, that vintage, like, oh yeah, there's Ed Oliver, huge disruptor, like that absolute menace game yet. And I think this can be that like vintage blow up Ed Oliver game, like statement game for Ed Oliver, if you will, whether he's lining up against any of those 3 other than Tyler Linderbaum, whether he's lining up against Josh Jones with Ben Cleveland at left guard or Patrick McCarry, and then Daniel Falele or Patrick McCarry at right guard. Whoever it is, I think he should be able to eat those guys for lunch pretty easily. And then my offensive player of the game prediction is Khalil Shakir. The Ravens have an elite run defense. Like their starting trio of defensive tackles is like damn near elite from top to bottom, 1 through 3. You could make a pretty clear and easy argument / case that this is the best defensive tackle room from 1 to 3, top to bottom in the whole NFL. Just listen to this. It's Nnamdi Madubuike, absolute superstar. Nnamdi Madubuike, and then 2 like elite nose tackles with Michael Pierce and Travis Jones who just eat up blocks. So I don't think James Cook and to an extent Ty Johnson and Ray Davis will have very much rushing room. So James Cook, don't give him many attempts. Like if you know the run defense is elite, which it is going in, maybe only give him like 10 to 15 attempts. Use him out of the backfield more. But my offense play the game prediction is Khalil Shakir because I think Roquan Smith will lock down Dalton Kincaid to an extent. But their secondary, Kyle Hamilton's a superstar, but the rest have been underperforming. Like there have been my dad just shared with me this stat that I totally missed, so thank you to him. But my dad just shared with me this stat before I started recording here, that the Ravens' pass defense is like one of the worst through 3 weeks in NFL history. I think the worst. They have the most yards, the most touchdowns, the most everything pretty much. Kyle Hamilton's a superstar. Everyone else is disappointed. Marlon Humphrey, disappointed. Nate Wiggins, the rookie, slow start, disappointed. Marcus Williams at safety, disappointed. Brandon Stevens, disappointed. So everyone not named Kyle Hamilton has been pretty, like, to put it bluntly, crap. So I think Khalil Shakir, like, Khalil Shakir is an underrated downfield target. Like, he's got underrated wheels, man. Like, he's not some burner. He's not the most physical at the catch point, but he does everything right. So Khalil Shakir, like, if you're looking from a fantasy football perspective, I'm going to say it. I was going to say he's borderline must start territory, but I think if you have to, like, don't say, oh, I have to start Khalil Shakir. That's bad. Like, he's must start in fantasy football this week. I'm in 14 leagues, so I have a lot of shares of Khalil Shakir. I mean, it's just inevitable. 14 leagues. I know I'm obsessed, but anyway, Khalil Shakir, offensive player of the game predictions. Cook won't be able to do much on the ground. Elite run defense. I think Roquan Smith, to an extent, will shut down Dalton Kincaid. Keon Coleman, his snaps fluctuate up and down. Mac Hollins barely plays. Curtis Samuel's pretty much nothing this year. Turf toe is more than we thought. MVS, he should never touch what he touched last week, 77% snaps. So I think this is going to be a huge blow-up Khalil Shakir game. I've been on record in saying, well, I don't think maybe 1 or 2, maybe on a rare occasion, that guys will hit over 100 receiving yards in a single game this year just because of the free-flowing nature of the Bills' offense and Josh Allen spreading the ball around. But I think Khalil Shakir has a legit chance to go for over 100 yards this week. Maybe like against the Ravens in 2 days on Sunday Night Football in Baltimore. Maybe like 4 or 5 catches for like 90, 95 yards and a touchdown. I think Khalil Shakir, though, is going to be a blow-up monster. So offensive player of the game prediction, Khalil Shakir, defense player game prediction, Ed Oliver, and that's really matchup based, and we haven't seen that signature performance from Ed Oliver this year yet. 5 game predictions, underdog fantasy player props. Josh Allen, put me down for Josh Allen over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Like I said, this is going to be a high pass volume game because I think it will be close to the early to mid fourth quarter, and then just because James Cook in the run game won't be able to do much. So put me down for like 30 to 35 pass attempts for Josh, and then over 1.5 touchdowns as well for Josh Allen. I just think he has 7 touchdowns and no picks this year. I mean, dude's like clearly far and away the front runner for MVP right now. And then Khalil Shakir over 45.5 receiving yards. This is like the lowest of low-hanging fruit I've ever seen so far this year on underdog, not just for the Bills, just like for any team in general. I think he could go for like 90, 95, maybe even 100 and a touchdown. So this is like smash the over on this. This is just absurdly low in my opinion. Lamar Jackson, this is pretty wild I'm saying this, but I think the Bills defense will hold Lamar Jackson to under 200 under 202.5 passing yards. That's a mouthful to say. Lamar Jackson, put me down for Lamar Jackson under 202.5 passing yards because I just think whether it's the pressure against this not starting caliber offensive line or Lamar when he gets pressure in the pocket and when he's forced to be a drop back passer, he kind of crumbles. So put me down for that. It's very bold to say because like when does a quarterback get under 200 yards in the NFL? It's very rare, especially of Lamar Jackson's caliber. But I think he's going to be running for his life literally and figuratively a lot this game. We're going to pressure him a bunch. Like that offensive line is not a starting caliber offensive line. Derrick Henry over 0.5 touchdowns. It's Derrick Henry. He scored 1 touchdown in week 1 against the Chiefs, 1 touchdown in week 2 against the Raiders, and then 2 touchdowns in over 150 rushing yards, but 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys in week 3. That's how they won pretty much. So you know who fallen in the end zone for Derrick Henry over 0.5 touchdowns. He could get 1 or 2. Like I think he could have both their touchdowns. And then put me down, just a more generalized prediction. Ed Oliver, 2 sacks in this game. Big signature blow-up game for my defense player of the game prediction. Ed Oliver, put me down for Ed Oliver, 2 total sacks. And then Bills win the game 33-20. I think it'll be close until the start, mid to middle of the fourth quarter at most probably I should say rather. But I think the Bills pull away and win 33-20. Like the Bills have been absolutely like destroying teams. Like they beat the Dolphins by 21. They beat the Jaguars by 37. And in my prediction here, I have the Bills beating the Ravens in Baltimore at the Ravens, mind you, 33-20. Might be bullish, but whatever. It's worked out being bullish on the Bills the first 3 weeks. Predicting 5 inactive players versus Dolphins. One note I want to make here, should mention this at the beginning. We have some roster shuffling with the O-line here. They put tackle Tylen Grable on IR, so he'll miss a minimum of 4 weeks with the groin injury he suffered again in garbage time against the Jaguars. He's the swing tackle. He can play left tackle, play right tackle, and in a pinch he can play guard. So Ryan Vandermark will be the swing tackle, which I'm okay with. He's pretty decent at left tackle. He's kind of atrocious at right tackle, but maybe cross-trade him there and he'll get up to speed. Because we pushed Tylen Grable on IR, we signed center/guard, mainly center, Will Clapp to the active permanent 53-man roster, which is fine because Brandon Beane did reveal the day after roster cutdown day it was August 31st or 27th, whatever it was, that last Tuesday of August, whenever it was, that Will Clapp was like player 53, player 54 that was fighting with Joe Andreessen as the final cut to get off the roster. They went with Andreessen over Clapp, but I like signing Will Clapp because he has a lot of experience and sorry about that. I like signing Will Clapp because he has a lot of experience and he is a sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I got a phone call and it's hooked up to my laptop, so I just had to pause and come back. Anyway, as I was saying, I like signing Will Clapp to the active roster because he's that backup jumbo tight end, 6 offensive lineman, insert blocker, whatever you want to call it, to Alec Anderson. You know the Bills past and present like using that role, so that's what we do there. And then we signed Marion Brown to the practice squad. So he's a returner, speedster, kind of slender build, whatever. But predicting 5 healthy scratches inactives versus the Ravens, as we know, to our out slot corner, Terrence Johnson, which they probably don't want to rush him back, and help that Cam Lewis and Jamarcus Ingram played extremely well in that spot, especially Jamarcus Ingram filling up the stat sheet with sacks, interceptions, a pick six, whatever. And then Terrell Bernard, obviously. And then the linebacker, Eddie Ulofoshio, they would go with Andreessen again because of health and special teams ability. And then safety Mike Edwards, I just don't see how he's active after last week. I mean, DeMar Hamlin has been playing exceptional. And then Taylor Rapp, good enough. And then Cole Bishop. And then this last one came down to MVS or Cedric Van Granger. And I had Cedric Van Granger being a healthy scratch, inactive, whatever you want to call it, because I think they like MVS a lot more than we do. We, meaning me. I don't like MVS. I think he should have like 25 to 30% snaps, if that, a game. And he had 77 last week. Like, he shouldn't even be touching that, sniffing that. But so my 5 inactives: Taron Johnson, Terrell Bernard, Eddie Ulofoshio, Mike Edwards, and then Cedric Van Granger with signing Will Clapp to the active roster. And Ryan Vandenberg now being the primary swing tackle with Tyler Grable on IR. Anyway, guys, that is my prediction. Once again, I have the Buffalo Bills beating the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore 33-20. Couple promotional stuff here. Housekeeping, if you will. You can follow me on Twitter personally at A113. You can follow the show on Twitter at Around Slice. You can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And a couple last minute things. You can support me on Patreon for bonus content just for you guys as patrons for just $3 a month at patreon.com/aroundtheslice. Again, you can join that for just $3 a month at patreon.com/aroundtheslice. And lastly, I want to get to 50 subscribers. I have 35 right now, I believe, last time I checked. The growth over the last week or so has been awesome to see. Thank you guys so much. But let's get to 50 subscribers. No deadline on it. But whenever we get there, we get there. I know you guys can do it. So let's get to the big 5-0. Anyways, guys, enjoy this game. Again, Bills winning against Ravens in my prediction, 33-20 by 13 points. I will see you guys for hopefully another outstanding, upbeat, positive recap show on Monday, September 30th, a day after the game, as always. Thank you for supporting, and I will see you then. Bye.